February 24th, 2026. For years ago, this day changed the world. But today, the front lines echo not only with cannon fire, but also with a frightening silence. Kyiv and Moscow understand. The outcome is being decided not in the trenches, but in the capitals of the West. While Ukraine awaits critical supplies, Brussels is immersed in the deepest crisis in its history. The old order has completely crumbled, giving way to a new, harsh reality of every man for himself. The main hero of this day is Viktor Orbán. In Brussels, he dealt a crushing blow by permanently blocking the $106 billion aid package for Ukraine. His argument is simple: Europe is bankrupt and the West's strategy has failed. Orbán is no longer a pariah. He is the leader of a growing bloc of countries demanding an immediate ceasefire on Moscow's terms. For the European Union, this veto marked a moment of official division. But behind Orbán looms the shadow of Donald Trump. The direct connection between Budapest and Mar-a-Lago has become an open secret. Trump openly supports the sabotage of European aid, declaring that Europe must pay for itself. It's a double trap. Trump strangles the EU with tariffs from the outside, while Orbán destroys its unity from within. Washington is no longer a guarantor of security. It is becoming the main competitor. Conflict fatigue has become mainstream. In Berlin, Paris, and Rome, millions of people take to the streets to protest rising energy prices and endless defense spending. Cries of "our taxes for our citizens" are louder than calls for solidarity. Right-wing parties across Europe are seizing this moment to overthrow old liberal governments. February 24th, 2026, marked the day when "America First" became the European slogan. For Kyiv, this day became a moment of truth. Without Western money and ammunition, holding the front line is becoming impossible. The word "freeze" is increasingly being heard behind the scenes. But the conditions Moscow is putting forward, backed by the tacit agreement of Orbán and Trump, mean the loss of territory and neutral status. President Zelensky faces the most difficult choice of all: fight to the end alone or accept the bitter peace. The Kremlin greets February 24th, 2026, with cool satisfaction. Putin is no longer in a hurry. Time is on his side. The strategy of grinding the West is bearing fruit. Moscow sees the sanctions front crumbling, and Ukraine's former allies begin to compete with each other for resources. For Russia, this is not just an anniversary. It is confirmation that their calculation on a split in the West has proven correct. Energy blackmail is returning in a new form. In exchange for softening Orbán's stance, Moscow is offering Hungary and its allies preferential contracts for gas. Amid the shortages caused by Trump's policies, these contracts are becoming a matter of survival. Europe is on its knees, faced with a choice: freeze its principles or warm itself at the cost of betrayal. The 2026 split runs right through the gas pipelines. The Trump-Orbán axis is a new center of power that Brussels ignores. Their goal is to transform Europe into a confederation of weak states that will not interfere with the US-Russia deal. In 2026, this tandem officially buried the idea of a united Europe. Now every EU leader secretly flies to Budapest to learn Trump's terms. This is a new power diplomacy, where old alliances aren't worth the paper they're written on. In 2026, NATO is experiencing brain death. Article 5 no longer seems sacrosanct. If the US under Trump refuses to protect defaulters, and Orbán blocks troop movements through Hungary, the alliance is becoming an empty shell. NATO's eastern flank is in panic. Poland and the Baltic states are beginning to build their own lines of defense, realizing that help from Brussels and Washington may not be forthcoming. China is closely observing this chaos. The division of the West is a gift for Beijing. While Trump is busy destroying the EU, Xi Jinping offers Europe a digital Silk Road and investments in exchange for loyalty. In 2026, Europe becomes an arena for struggle not only between the US and Russia, but also a battleground for Chinese influence. Chinese technology and loans are replacing American guarantees, finally pushing Washington out of Eurasia. The result of February 24th, 2026, is a new world map. We see a world divided into rigid spheres of influence. The era of globalization and the liberal order is officially over. Now the rules are dictated by those with resources, industry, and the absence of legal barriers. This is the world of Trump, Xi, and Putin, in which the old Europe no longer has a place. We are entering the era of the great redistribution, where the right of might is the only law. The world of 2026 requires new navigation. What seemed impossible yesterday is now a fact of life. To understand where this storm is heading, you need more than just news. You need a strategy. Subscribe to GeoStrat to see the map before it is redrawn. Tell us in the comments, do you believe in the bitter peace, or can Europe still unite? This is GeoStrat. The end of illusions is the beginning of reality.